Welcome everyone to the Salt Lake Expositor. I'm a little bit under the weather. I've done some dental work and it's been hard to sleep. And so I got some honey water ready.
Jean is slowly becoming a supermodel.
That's right.
And
Gotta get my eyes, my tummy tucked.
yeah, the tummy tuck. Yeah, good for you.
Everything
That's
going.
exciting. Well, this is an exciting time for you, Jean, because you're going through these amazing changes, and it's an exciting time for me and for all of you, um, because today's the Super Bowl, and I'm sure that you all were faithful and got on your knees and asked God to please bless that the Seahawks win, because that's my team. And you've done it so far. It's worked beautifully. You guys are responsible for getting the Seahawks to where they are today. So thank you for that. Yeah. So what's on the agenda today, Gene? What do you think we should chat about? What's big in the news?
So Mormons in the Epstein Files, and we owe a debt of gratitude to Megan Connor and also Megan Hayes. And I'm going to run Megan and Kirsten did a show, and I'm going to include it in the show notes. But we're going to run a clip of that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've noticed, but do you notice there's no third person beside me or you?
That's right, and Jessica's somewhere in the world.
Jessica is, last I heard, was in Amsterdam, awaiting her flight to.
We were so Mormon, we called it Amsterdam.
Yeah, and they flew a hectocopter there.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tim, who cares, Randy? What? About the Seahawks or about Jessica? Why do you have to hate the Seahawks? Okay. Yeah, if you want to play that, Gene, and then I've got another video that I'll line up. It's going to be probably a little condensed show today because, well, I've got several people coming over for the party today. And
that's right.
You know,
it's a day of celebration and shame for the Mormons that are in the Epstein Files. Not really shame, but just there's connections, there's interesting things. And we'll
yeah, it is. It is interesting. I don't know how one man can produce, or I don't know how can there can be so many documents.
So you don't think you have like 6 or 7 million documents out there just about you?
I'm pretty sure I do not.
Not even in the Disney files?
Well, they're probably not into the millions, no.
I mean, every time card is just only going to be a few hundred of them.
So is that what it is? I mean, when we hear about the Epstein documents, before we get too deep into this.
Yeah, emails.
Is it anything, just anything that has to do with anything? And where do all these emails come from? Because I don't save, I could never save that many emails. They go right into the trash when I'm done with them. So it's miraculous to me that there are even this many documents.
Right. This is almost like the Joseph Smith Papers project for the FBI.
Gathering bits and pieces and similar. This and that.
We'll see if Epstein name comes up ever in the Joseph Smith Papers.
That would be weird.
That would be
a prophecy. Okay.
So I'll run this and then we'll come back in 5 minutes and catch up to some other things.
And I'll be drinking.
So he won the lottery. His Zorro Trust collected it. It was $80 million after taxes. It was a $29.3 million lump sum payment from July 2nd of 2008.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're already rich, it doesn't matter. Anybody that wins the lottery, don't do the lump sum payment.
Okay, but also he pleaded guilty in June of 2008.
Yeah.
He won the lottery on July 2nd of 2008.
Megan, oh my God, do not start me down this road. Just because you have a trust that owns it, he does not have to own the trust. It literally could have been anyone who was on the trust, or he could have added them to a trustee when he was inside jail, so it could be protected. This could be one of his girls or his secretary or whoever. Like,
well, this
is who actually won it.
Right. This
Sorry.
is where the conspiracy theories come from, because a lot of people believe that Epstein was not the mastermind. A lot of people believe that he was a puppet. And if he was in fact a puppet, a perfect way to pay him off for going to jail, taking the fall, would have been to give him a winning lottery ticket. Anyway, that's a rabbit hole for another time.
Yeah, that's true. Did you like how I'm like, no, he didn't have to win it. I didn't know that was 100%. A conspiracy, because again, I don't look that far into it, just because I was like, just win lotteries all the time.
It's a conspiracy that he was not the mastermind. It's a conspiracy that he took the fall for other more powerful people, that he did not unalive himself, etc. Blah blah blah. Okay. Anyway,
correct.
so he was released from prison in July of 2009, and he was going about his jolly, jaunty life.
Yes.
But people knew, all of his contacts knew that he had served prison time. They all knew that he was an offender, right? He had to register as an offender. But it wasn't until 2018 that Julie K. Brown, who may she live in...
This night belongs to the biggest game on the biggest stage.
Blessed loveliness for the rest of her life, published an article in the Miami Herald. It was an investigative series identifying 80 alleged victims and criticizing the 2008 plea deal, basically reigniting the federal interest in the case.
Right.
So they started an investigation, and finally in July of 2019, Epstein was arrested in New Jersey. The charges basically that were brought were that he trafficked dozens of minors between 2002 and 2005 in New York and in Florida, aided by Ghislaine Maxwell, who, by the way, was sentenced in 2021 to 20 years, which is, again, another rabbit hole for another time. But that was his kind of partner, co-conspirator. And so he pled not guilty. He was denied bail. So he was detained in Manhattan. And then just, not even a month later, he was found unresponsive in his jail, in his cell. He was placed on unalive watch for 6 days after that. But then he was returned to regular housing, and then his cellmate was removed.
But there's a video, Megan, and that skips time. But that's normal for video.
I know. So the first attempt was in July. Then in August, a federal court unsealed about 2,000 pages of documents from the defamation lawsuit by one of the victims against Ghislaine Maxwell, revealing more details. Then, the next day, his cellmate was transferred out. And the day after that, he was found unresponsive with a rope. I can't be too explicit about the details, but he was pronounced not alive.
Is there anybody that doesn't know? I mean, do we really need to?
I just wanted to make sure, just in case people didn't know.
Who doesn't know? If you were on the internet at that time at all, every other meme was everybody knows, right?
So so
everybody knows. Right. Anyways.
Well, I just wanted to, I kind of wanted to point out the dates and the timeline, because it's important that we understand, in the context of what we're about to read, this email, because we need to understand where Jeffrey was at the time that this email was written and sent. Okay. That's the main reason why.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is an email, or sorry, no, it was not an email. It was a piece of physical mail that was sent to Jeffrey Epstein. But look at the date, 20th of May, 2022. This is the stamp, the date stamp. Okay. So it was from Jeffrey Epstein to redacted, right? But obviously he was not the one that sent it, because
he doesn't send his own mail.
He was not alive in 2022.
See, as you can tell, I'm still tired. I'm like, he has a secretary.
Right. So we don't know who it was mailed to, but the return address is Jeffrey Epstein's address. It was May of 2022. Okay. We don't, and we also don't know this, this physical letter does not have a date on it. So we don't know when this letter was received by whomever then forwarded it on. Okay. Yeah. It's a woman claiming to be someone named Esther Cohen Tizer Epstein. Okay. Now, I'm just going to read the first part of this. You're receiving this letter because you are a convicted offender required to monitor, control, and contain your deviance, or B, an ordinary citizen who can benefit from having your deviance monitored, explored, and amplified. And the reason that I want to point this out is because I think this was an individual who had a list of offenders, because the registry is public, and would just send things out to people like this because they also were deviant and were trying to exploit and or extort money from other deviants, right? So I don't think this has anything to do with anything real. I think this is just a scammer trying to scam offenders who are registered. Okay?
Yep.
So I just want to go through this because there are a lot of creators out there who are like, Mormon blood. Okay. So I'm going to skip the more salacious details that are in this thing.
Yeah.
And just talk about that one thing that people are like, Mormon blood? What? Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted more from Jeffrey. He was often distant and dismissive of me and my feminine charms. There is a discussion of something gross that really happened right here. But then, or I don't know if it really happened. It's just something gross that this person says happened, right?
Yeah.
This person said that he bought me a house at Redacted, got my oldest daughter into Redacted by donating $50,000 to their gender studies program, and paid for my youngest daughter to attend Redacted. And all she had to do was send him a pint of Mormon blood every week. Now, all I want to say about this is, the Redacted University doesn't have very many letters. They could be 3 letters or 4 letters. Some people have said this could be BYU. But who cares? This person is not a credible person. If you will scroll down and look, like, this is her before a group / gang training exercise in Bali with an address, and then saying, please keep on your altar or present to Redacted for 10% off of your dynamic session. So it's somebody soliciting for events of some kind and claiming that Jeffrey bought her a house, got his oldest daughter into college by donating money to the gender studies program. All she had to do was send him a pint of Mormon blood every week. We don't know if this was actual, or if it was a metaphor for something, or if she was a phlebotomist who was stealing from the blood donation. Like, we have no idea. The point is, we have no idea what this actually means. So for other creators to come on and say, like, there was some connection between the church or between members or something, like, it's just wildly inappropriate to make that conjecture with no receipts whatsoever and nothing credible to even go by. Like, I have received some crazy stuff in the mail too, and if it ever went into the Megan files, like, how can I be held responsible for something somebody sends me in the mail if they're a crazy lunatic? Like,
it's really weird. When I had read that, I think I might have sent you. I literally sent me, and I was like, dude, I saw this online. This is crazy. Like, we have to talk about this. Because when I saw that, I literally was like, if I was reading that, just knowing more of the context of that letter, to me, that just sounds like Mormon girls, which
maybe,
I mean, I don't even want to speculate about things. Who knows?
Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, I think when you think of like the picture perfect little Mormon girls, they're gullible, they're pure, they're cute, they're, whatever. So I can see if you're trying to act like, oh, these are code words, this is, something trying to get people to call you or have something that they need a discount code for.
Right.
That's how I would interpret it. But I mean, at the end of the day, why are we even trying to interpret it? We don't know. And I just hate that people are trying to make it even more crazy than it might be. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying I don't know. That's it.
Right.
Right. So,
okay.
Anyways.
Now to something that is actually a little spicy. Kirsten, did you know that Apostle Dale G. Renlund?
I did.
Kirsten,
Whatever you're going to say, I do know.
I know we talked about it before, but just pretend for a second for the people, okay? Jeez.
My bad.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Kirsten, did you know that Apostle Dale G. Renlund appears in the Epstein Files?
What? This is
my pearls.
Did you know that I could take 1 drop of blood and do 18?
You need to lower your voice. One drop of blood.
Sorry. 1 drop. Give me $1 billion.
Sir, $1 billion isn't actually that much money. The Mormon Church has over 300 billion.
What? 300?
100.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
All right. Let's continue.
All right. So yes, Dale G. Renlund does appear in the Epstein Files, but the way that he appears might surprise you because there's nothing bad about it at all. I'm sorry. I just spoiled everything for everybody. I apologize.
You're trying to ruin it. Spoilers, Megan.
Fun anymore, Megan. The correct thing, because I always want to show. I want to show the receipts, but I have so many windows open. It's just really hard.
So many receipts, guys. So many receipts.
Okay, here's one that I'll just mention for funsies. There's again.
Randy, you're on mute. Back.
Hey there. I hate that whole mute. What's that?
What do you think so far?
Well, I think that what Megan is trying to point out is that, yeah, there's a lot of references that mention the church, that mention people in the church, but I don't think that they've pointed to anything completely malevolent so far about what's going on in the church. There's some mystery things. You know, why is Jeffrey paying the tuition of a young lady at BYU, you know? And why
she helped out on the island somehow.
And why are they calling for blood? And I'm not sure what they do with that.
We thought we would share and let people know in my link, my description. I have it put there, and I think I can also put it if I get the right one. I don't know if this will be it in the chat, but if somebody wants to hop on the show and talk about what they know, what they think, what other things that they want to talk about in the news.
What was Jeffrey Epstein before all of this came down? Was he like a movie executive producer?
So he was a financial advisor. He worked.
I thought he was in the entertainment industry.
He didn't have a degree, and some guy at something like Merrill Lynch, some broker, some manager hired him because Jeffrey reminded him of himself, of the manager. And so, because he didn't have a degree either, he just liked that he was excited about stuff.
Yeah.
And so he trained him, and then he moved to some other place, and then the guy brought Jeffrey over to his place, and then started introducing him to rich people, and then they would manage their finances and get into some deals, make a little money on the way.
Wow, he had a big Hollywood connection, didn't he?
Yeah. And so I don't know a lot about him, I missed out on the window of going to the island.
You never spent any intimate moments with Jeffrey yourself?
I have not.
Well,
So yeah, Trump, as far as we know, other than Jeffrey Epstein, is one of the top mentioned person, even though he never knew him.
Trump and Epstein are like that right there. This one is Trump. Yeah. You know, another creator that we refer to a great deal is Megan Hayes of Generally Unquotable. And I always like to play a snippet or two of what she has to say about it because, you know, you and I have interviewed her on a couple of occasions, and we know what kind of schedule she has, and she is devoted. She doesn't just take a little bit of news and present it and say, okay, see it. I mean, she really digs into it. And I've always been greatly impressed by that. So, shall we go ahead and run her video now?
Yeah, run hers, and then we'll see if anybody joins and wants to chat about it. So we'll come back in a few minutes.
Okay.
You can make it full screen.
Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon news update for February 5th, 2026. Today, we are going to start at abc4.com, where it says, amid the millions of documents released from the case against millionaire offender Jeffrey Epstein, sporadic visits to Utah have been uncovered, along with a possible tuition payment to a BYU Idaho student. Multiple emails released in the DOJ's most recent batch of files related to the Jeffrey Epstein case show correspondence from 2011 with someone who is likely a female student at BYU Idaho. Emails detail an agreement that indicates Epstein sent a check likely to pay for the student's tuition. However, the check may have been sent back. My aunt blank said that you sent a check to BYU Idaho, and it was sent back, the student says. A different email sent to Epstein just days later indicate the payment was made. I am so thankful for your willingness to help blank. She will do well in school and make all of us happy. The second email's subject line says, student, BYU Idaho. BYU Idaho did not immediately respond to ABC4.com's request for a statement. Darren said you liked the Stein Erickson. It still has suites available. A 2016 email to Epstein reads, would you like to make reservations for Park City? Days later, an email memo indicates Epstein booked a 2-bedroom superior suite for one night at the Waldorf in Park City for over $1,600. 1 year earlier, Epstein can be seen emailing with MIT Media Lab director Joy Ito about a visit, indicating he was in Utah at the time. Park City is 45 minutes from Albuquerque if you want to come visit. Now I want to go to your island and dive sometime, Ito says. Epstein responds with, anytime October on. Blockstream's CEO Adam Back announced Ito introduced their company to Epstein, who became a limited partner in Ito's fund. However, his fund divested its Blockstream shares due to a conflict of interest. DOJ documents show a cell phone registered to Epstein made 5 calls to a Provo number on February 11, 2004, between 5:45 p.m. and 7 p.m. The calls range from 1 to 5 minutes long. Later that evening, between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., Epstein reportedly made 2 more phone calls to a number registered in Park City. Neither call lasted longer than 1 minute. In the days following, Epstein made several more phone calls to a Park City number, along with 1 call to a phone located in Salt Lake City. Similar data shows 3 of the phone calls may have been made to an Orem number. It is unclear who Epstein was speaking with at the time. For BYU Idaho and likely Mormons from Utah to show up in the Epstein Files surprises me exactly 0%. Next, we will go to BYU for an article that says coffee bean and green tea extract found in energy drinks.
Well, there you go. There you have it. So I think that it's obvious that the Mormon Church makes several appearances in the files. Okay, let's see what we've got going here. There he is. Yeah,
So
I think
for some reason, StreamYard isn't letting me post the link to the show.
Really?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate it and see if that works. Nope, still rejected it.
Yeah, I tried just a second ago, and it
Try to post it in my YouTube.
In your messenger?
Or you type in StreamYard/X6T2HDSWCA. That works. Maybe if I break it up into two things like this. I don't know. I mean, it's my channel. It's not letting me do it. I don't know how else to do it.
Maybe it's divine.
Oh, I'll put it also in the description of the video. That's what I can do.
Cool.
So
very cool.
Underneath my channel in the description, we only have a couple people watching right now anyway.
So here's my feelings. I know we're talking about Epstein in the LDS Church, but of course, the president of our country here, Donald J. Trump, is also mentioned several times in the files. And it doesn't matter if we find a document that says Trump is a murderous, child assaulting, ritual practicing pedophile. It doesn't matter. There's nothing that can come out about Trump that won't disgust those of us who are more on the liberal side, and those on the right side, the right wingers, will absolutely just deflect it away. Diamond Dave, how the heck are you, buddy?
Good. Life has been really, really good. Kind of crazy. A lot going on. There's a lot going on here in Asia about the Epstein Files. The West is getting destroyed.
No kidding. Can you give us a little synopsis about that?
Yeah, so like the moment like all this has been coming out, China immediately kind of made like every influencer in China or in Southeast Asia was pointing out, hey, you guys can say what you want about China, but Xi Jinping is not in the Epstein Files. And I posted in the comments, like when Epstein tried to like get into China, they were making racial slurs against him and like warning each other in Asia to avoid him. That's been floating around here. China also made accusations, not accusations, but like child abuse, CSA. It's an automatic death penalty with no reprieve, which is interesting, because what China normally does is if you get the death penalty, you get a reprieve. So you'll get like a 2 or 3 year reprieve, where if you're on good behavior, it's reduced to a life sentence. However, with child abuse, if you were convicted, it's an automatic death penalty. There is no reprieve.
Wow.
So that's that, and that's like being thrown out everywhere, which I find interesting because China normally isn't very open about how they handle things, but
they reduce the number of church leaders drastically if they started investigating the LDS.
Well, they're already cracking down on churches as it is, because you have to, like here in Mongolia and many parts of the world, you have to register your church if it's foreign. And unregistered churches are illegal. So they're already cracking down on that. But there's a lot of people that are talking about it. My wife's been following it. A lot of people in Mongolia, just Asia, following it. And they're pointing out some interesting things. And this is something I was thinking about. So the average person with social media and AI, all the shorts and information that's dumped on us, we have on average about a 15 to 20-second attention span. But the US government dumped out 3 million redacted documents, just like vomited it, right? And, there's no context. Obviously, none of us here, to the best of my knowledge, have met Epstein or met these Hollywood stars or these politicians. We've never met them. So we're left with 3 million documents to kind of sift through. And some people here in Mongolia have pointed out the interesting thing that in these files, there is something for everybody. If you are a liberal, you can find stuff on Trump. If you are a conservative, you can find things about Epstein planning COVID-19. If you are someone who likes government conspiracies, there's emails with Epstein talking about like different like war plans, more or less, right? Like with Israel, and people are finding that really interesting. And they're also finding that there's a lot of people who are like taking the documents and like making AI stuff out of it and re-uploading it to the internet as like a joke. And so people are like, wait a second, like there's so and I agree with Brittany to a point, like red herrings, but it's just like it's just interesting because if you look at any other time or protocol, right? The US government, even when it declassifies things like the FBI, those are fun for, fun reading. They don't just vomit declassified information like that. They just like release it in like readable, dissectable chunks. And a couple other people that I follow in Asia pointed out that having worked in banking, I've seen this too, where if someone commits fraud or there's fraud involved, one of the ways to overwhelm the financial system is just to throw a shit ton of information out there and let the banks sift through it. And that bogs down the process. I've also seen people talk about how because America is so polarized, that they're speculating that the timing of the info dump and the what's redacted and what's not redacted is an intention to divide the population further, so they fight amongst each other rather than go after like the document people. Because I've seen a lot of screenshots, and even on my US based page, friends in the US, I see a lot of people like cherry picking their political side. Conservatives are going after the Clintons and, Obama that's in there. And then there's, the liberals are going after Trump and the conservatives. And so it's like fuel to the fire.
Yeah. All of this redaction, when you consider the millions and millions and millions of documents there are, obviously they're utilizing artificial intelligence to do this redacting, but it's not very good because there's several documents where the victims, for instance, are redacted, but then a few documents later, that same victim, their information is there with their personal information, address, and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of shit show coming out of these documents. And then
here's the thing.
Talking about AI.
Well, I agree with you, except I do not believe they use AI. And here's why. Because AI looks at patterns. So if you put my name, Diamond Dave, in 3 million documents, AI is phenomenal at finding the words Diamond Dave and redacting it. It'll catch it 100% of the time because AI, looks for Diamond Dave. What I think is because of the inconsistencies and the chaos, what I'm thinking that the government or whoever decided to release this went to some guy and was like, we need to release this now. And then that guy just got a bunch of people together, is like, okay, look for pertinent information, redact it, and then send it out there. And when you have a team of a bunch of people, and I've seen this working at Wells Fargo, you give 100 people the same task, it's going to come out botched. 100% of the time, it's going to come out botched. And even in something similar where we had to make reports for upper management, redact customer information so they see trends, not info. Well, when you have 100 people doing it, some customer info ended up getting slipped through,
Right.
So, and Songs is correct too. There are videos in the files, and because AI looks at, patterns of words and letters and videos, it can instantly pick up what's the video, what's the words, Diamond Dave, and just automatically remove it. So yeah, this looks more like human error. And with human error also comes kind of the media, where the US based media is saying, oh, is this Putin's honeypot because Putin is mentioned a bunch of times, blah, blah, blah. And then a bunch of people in Asia are pointing out, be like, well, wait a second. Epstein is of a particular ethnicity, and his closest associates are also of a particular ethnicity. And by the way, here are some photos where he could be alive in Israel now. Whether or not that's true that he's alive in Israel, I can't say. But people are pointing out kind of this weird fixation that America's having with Russia specifically, and disregarding that particular nation to avoid demonetization. They're avoiding that particular nation and the ties of people in that particular nation, and they're not talking about it. And, they're basically saying, well, if you're going to talk about Russia, why aren't you talking about this nation, which many of the key players are from or are blood related to or have been to? Why not open transparency?
Good point. Well, what are they? Did we decide there's nearly or around 30 million documents?
From what I've seen, there's
6 or 7 million, I think.
Oh, there's more. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah.
So
can you
they
imagine
released
humans?
3 million, but there's another 3 million something that they said, oh, these are just garbage emails or something like that. And the Congress is saying, no, the law was passed that you don't have authority to say you can't release it. You still have to release it. The other thing that's going to happen is Congress is going to get the unredacted version to all their staffers. So they're going to be able to compare. So if there's a redacted one that has Trump's name or Elon Musk or some other financier that's been redacted, that's going to be another storm of, and claims of that the FBI is breaking the law. That the who's the attorney general breaking the law, right? By not doing what the law says. The law says don't redact somebody just because it might be embarrassing to somebody, unless they're a victim. It's only the victims' names are supposed to be redacted. There's not supposed to be all this redacting a whole page. I mean, they can't even have the word the and of and unredacted. I don't know.
Yeah. Brady's got an interesting comment. World War III will be the 1% against the 99%. I'm not sure if Americans actually realize what that means, because America as a whole, you're correct, but in a different way. And this is just from the international view, because, I was raised outside of the US, I've lived outside of the US, and I'm a resident of Mongolia now, is that globally, America is the 1% in terms of finances globally. And so it'll be the 99% of the world against America. And we're seeing that now, not so much with the Epstein Files, but just with American imperialism, American influence. People in Japan are starting to want America to remove its bases. The Philippines, same thing. Even though the Philippines is having issues with China, they're wanting to get the US out. Mongolia is kind of distancing itself from the US, not really. It's politically neutral, but there's a lot of countries that are looking at the US and looking at the history of the US, and it's like, okay, we don't need the US. China's a safer option. China's the more stable option. I'm seeing even people here in Mongolia, and people here in Mongolia generally do not like China. So when people in Mongolia historically that looked favorably on America as a country start to question America, look at China and go, well, China is at least more stable and we know what they're going to do. You know what I mean? That's at least to me kind of a huge red flag.
Yeah, nobody's rigging the election in China.
Well, I mean,
except for the people that have been in charge for 30 years.
Well, rigged elections people don't necessarily care about in this part of the world because nepotism is a thing. I mean, whether you look at my wife's family or you look at just any family in Asia, like the history of Asia has been predominantly of, like, if you go way back, it goes to like warlords here in Mongolia, khans, which is kings, etc. And so if you look at the political situation here, you could be the most, the most well thought intended person here, but if you can like directly tie your bloodline to like Chinggis Khan or another Khan or someone notable, you will be in power, period. People vote according that way. That's just how the mentality is. And that's the same thing in China too, because in many parts of the world people respect strength and they respect history and tradition. So when a family is seen historically through generations to be strong, people are just going to automatically vote for the person regardless of what their platform is.
So one thing, on one hand, the president has always been talked about as, the most powerful person in the world. And Donald Trump is like testing the limits. Hey, can the most powerful person in the world try to get Greenland? Can he steal a ship, a tanker from Venezuela? He's really experimenting with
accept an 800 million jet plane as a gift.
I mean, they're all the things that my wife was saying that, well, he's supposed to be the most powerful person in the world for Americans, not for the Trump family and organization. And so that's probably the biggest problem.
I think it's an interesting. I've always thought that was interesting, right? Because people say Trump is the most powerful man on the earth. And, I would say yes and no, because at the end of the day, does Trump have the nuclear codes? Yes. But it's not like the movies where the president flips a, thing on his desk and pushes a red button and it's on. There's the nuclear football and it goes through this entire chain of command, and anyone in that chain of command can just say no and it doesn't happen. Right? And it's designed in a way, and that's with any nuclear country. Even Russia has this, right? Even the lowest person on the ladder, the guy sitting at the desk who hits the button, can just say, no, I'm not going to do it. This has happened before when the Cold War, I remember reading about this, the Cold War, Russia, a nuclear missile base, picked up a bunch of radar hits. And, the order came down, this is nuclear fire. And the guy's looking at it and he's like, I don't think this is nuclear, I'm not going to fire. Well, turns out, and I forget specifically what it was, it might have been a solar flare or something, but he was correct. And you guys can look this up. He was correct. So the tech looking at the sonar charged with hitting the button was like, no, I'm not going to do this. This doesn't look like it. Because had he done that, Russia would have fired first. right? So that's the same in the US, it's the same in China. There are there's global mechanisms in place.
Plus,
And
there's universal mechanisms. Tim Rathbone will claim that the aliens guarding our planet won't allow us to blow up.
Well, that's another thing too, because it's not like, and that's something that I've seen talked about, is like entire bases just go dark because of like an aerial object nobody can identify. They just go dark.
It could just be that the military is built from the lowest bidder, and things just don't work all together always. But you never know.
Yeah, and so it's the Epstein Files are really interesting. From like living in Asia, the dynamic is different, and it's kind of some people, I wouldn't say all, but there are some people that are seeing that like America is a house of cards, right? Because if you look at the national deficit, if you look at the debt, if you look at all, inflation, and then you combine it with social issues in America, you look at how polarized America is, and now the Epstein Files are coming out. People are looking at America. It's like, this isn't the stable country we thought it was. Right. And so I'm kind of curious politically as well as financially how this is going to play out. Because if we look at any corporation, like had this happened at like Wells Fargo or Chase Bank, people are pulling out their money. Right. We've even seen that in the Jabari settlements of Wells Fargo. I think it was in 2008 where they were giving out those bad home loans that they knew people couldn't repay. Right. A lot of people were closing down accounts when the Jabari accounts came out, or the Jabari settlement came through. People were pulling out their money. Investors started going overseas, and so I'm kind of curious as to how other countries who use the petrodollar are going to kind of react to this as it plays out.
Yep, we'll find out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
So we wanted to do a show, even though we're Dave has to take over for Jessica today.
And he'll probably have to take over for Randy.
Randy has to make a whole bunch of guacamole and other stuff.
No. Yeah, I've got
people for his Super Bowl party that's coming.
The demonic Super Bowl party. Shame on you, Randy.
So thanks everybody for watching. Tim, if you want to come on, we'll have a little bit of an after show. If Tim,
we can keep talking too,
and we can keep
the chat is. Maybe we stay on for a bit and bring Tim Rathbone on, because there's a lot of people that are really invested in the chat.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm all for that. I probably will jump out of here in about 10 minutes so I can do my duties.
Yeah, let's bring Tim Rathbone on and at least keep talking about this subject, because I mean, I'm sure Tim's got stuff to say. People in chat definitely have stuff to say.
Right.
It's your show, Gene, but I don't want to leave your chat hanging.
That's right.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah. So
remember, I'm a streamer and a YouTuber myself, so like, you gotta.
And I rely on everybody else to carry my show. My show is not about me; it's about all the guests and all the people that I bring in. So, if it's up to me, I don't have a lot to say. My brain has a lot to say, but it takes a little while. For it to rattle.
Yeah, then we better stay on. We better stay on. But yeah, and like,
there's Tim.
Hi, Tim.
I do. And I do want to point something out, because you brought up the Mormons, right? And it's like, on the one hand, some of you, I know Randy's seen some of my troll posts with people on his Facebook page that are trolling him.
Oh, he'll tear him up.
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing. If we're going to be intellectually honest and like actually like review this with a critical eye, just because they are mentioned with meeting Epstein doesn't mean they're actually involved with what happened at Epstein Island. And that's something that I'm kind of having to sift through myself, because like, I have some deep diving to do because supposedly Epstein met with the Dalai Lama. And I was thinking about that, and there are Americans like, oh, the Dalai Lama's in on it. And I was thinking about it's like, well, my wife's met the Dalai Lama, but she's not a part of his inner circle. Like, I've got a book here where they got a blessing from the Dalai Lama. Like they know some of the monks that work with him personally.
Randy may have met the Dolly Parton.
Famous, but yeah, and so it's like, and two, somebody brought up, and I forget who it is because I'm drinking my Asahi because you guys are online. I forgot who said this, but they said something. I'm trying to find it, but about red herrings, right? And that's another thing we do have to take into account too. Is like, what is true? Who is actually guilty of things? Who only has met the guy? And then who is actually thrown in there? Thank you. It's Britty the apostate.
Hi, Britty.
And you know, so we have to discern who's actually involved and has done harm to people, who simply met the guy, and then we also have to figure out like what actually is like a red herring and has nothing to do with any of this shit at all. You know what I mean? And
Tim,
that's going to take a while.
Tim, have you had any dealings with Epstein?
No.
I would have sworn I saw a few pics with you and Jeffrey with your arms kind of around each other, like, hey,
yeah,
buddy.
right. Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong about that. I don't know.
What about Bill Shatner? Does Bill Shatner's name show up in the files?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
I can't see.
Somebody has a sort of a semi-Mormon / patriarchal connection. All these crimes committed, and right now there's only one woman in jail.
Right.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right.
Well, and this actually ties Britty's comment just now ties in with what Gene says, and this is applicable outside of the Epstein files, right? The government is protecting the guilty.
Yes.
If you have friends in the government, you're fine. Little bit of a quick story, because I mentioned this. I was having F1 because I got married to a Mongolian, and I applied for F1 residency. It was denied originally, and I mentioned a couple times on different podcasts like this one that I thought it had to do with a bribe, because that's what my wife's family thought. So the protocol is you get a lawyer, you file an appeal, you have a court hearing. That is the protocol. That is the procedure. That is the government standard. What Britty's saying, the government's defying its own standard. Well, because my wife has family that's, shall we say, well-connected and well-known in both political parties, I didn't need a court date. I simply talked to a couple family members, and I found out a week later it had been approved, and I got my F1 card in my phone. It's an ID, right? That's how humanity works at the end of the day. If you know the right people, you can get away with anything. You can bypass things, right? And it's not just on a high-end government scale. It's even on a lower scale, like here on YouTube. If you know a streamer, like I know Gene, like, yeah, we could just jump on his show. We get invited. Me and Tim have been invited on different, on podcasts because we know the people. And that's how it works. So this is, I think, a less of a U.S. government thing, and I think this is more of a human thing. It's a tribal thing. You look out for your own tribe because you want that tribe to look out for you.
The 1% tribe.
Yeah. In this case, it's the 1% tribe. And because Epstein managed billions of dollars, there's going to be a lot of people with huge incentives. We're talking massive incentives to cover each other's ass, because if they don't, their ass is on their line, their empire is on their line, their reputation is on the line, everything is on the line, and if one person cracks, it's over.
Well, I think this is something that I don't think anyone ever saw coming from the very beginning. And I'm, like I was telling Gene, I'm
yes,
shocked.
some people did.
I'm talking.
Remote viewers saw this coming.
I'm sorry, what, Tim?
Remote viewers saw this coming months ago. The Future Forecasting Group saw this coming.
I would love
There's
to be
a lot
part
of people
of that
that saw this.
So
There's a lot of people that saw this coming.
Cliff High and Future Forecasting Group both saw this coming. Talking about people in Congress getting so sick they'd be throwing up in wastebaskets and stuff like that. Yeah, they saw this coming.
Well, whatever the case is, I've got about
it's about time
18.
Because Congress makes other people throw up in wastebaskets. So it's about time Congress.
It's about time for Congress to act and do something about this, because other countries have gone. We got about what?
I've got about 18 of Jeffrey Epstein's good friends coming over here very shortly. So I'm going to leave it up to you good gents. I appreciate every one of you greatly. Y'all are pretty magnificent in my book. And thank you to all the listeners. Love you.
Thank you, Randy.
And we'll
enjoy
see
your game
Tuesday on Tuesdays with Tim.
Yeah, right. We'll see you Tuesday.
Be the better football team win.
I hope they both lose.
Oh, David.
Well,
come on, don't troll me.
The Seahawks are going to win. The Seahawks are predicted to win, so we'll see.
Well, I hope the remote viewers saw that.
I don't know if they
just a half hour south of me. I could go to the game and then take a picture and get Randy jealous.
If I was a remote viewer, I'd live in Vegas, and I just look at all the big events and bet on them, and I'd be a wealthy man. Anyway,
people that do that.
Good to see y'all, and
all right.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, Randy.
So, Tim, what do you think about the Epstein Files in the bigger picture in the Mormon world? The Epstein's Island compared to Brigham Young's Island. Utah was an island in a way where the Mormons controlled the traffic in and out, and lots of women from Europe came to Utah, and they were basically trafficked as plural wives.
Yes.
With nowhere else to go.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So there could be a comparison someday to what actually happened in Utah.
They weren't eating babies. They weren't killing and screwing babies and doing what it says in the files.
Yeah, some claims are outrageous, and
right.
It'd be nice to have more
backup
evidence of those things. But anyhow, yeah, they definitely, Brigham Young and Joseph were controlling, culty, enthusiastic, charismatic, and you can win somebody over to your side. You can get them to do a lot of things.
I think that's the only comparison. You can't compare them. And Epstein, it wasn't just the trafficking, it was the intelligence he was gathering. He was giving to Mossad and everybody else. It was the intelligence. That was more important than
Well, yeah, if you have important people
over the fence.
coming to you, you can do some spying. You can ask some questions. You can be an agent you can be an operative, right?
Yes.
Maybe you only need hints sometimes. Like, oh, I noticed you
Correct.
bought up 4,000 shares of some tech stock. Why is that? And then they say, oh, I heard they got a contract with China or something like that, right? That's information that you
Yes.
can try to work backwards to figure out what they're trying to do.
Yeah. I just wish Congress would act, but they probably won't. And FBI and DOJ and all in the hands of Trump, and they're not going to do squat.
What
It's going
if
to take
Clinton,
foreign governments to get all the files, and they're going to release all the names. And they're going to start prosecuting. They're already doing it in England. France will be next, and all these people.
I think it's
Finland.
like Finland or no, it's not Finland. What was it? Amsterdam or Sweden? But it was like the son of a king was like involved or referenced, and they like stripped him of his titles and arrested him. Like I saw that, and I don't know if it's like Finland or Sweden or
Somewhere like
but
that.
yeah. Scandinavian country, yeah. Scandinavian countries are cracking down. China is very open about trying to get its hands on everything, and they're just gonna like tear through it.
it'd be interesting if Bill Clinton confesses to things and says,
well, that's why
I spend the rest of my life in jail.
That's why that's why Bill and Hillary want to testify in Congress in person, not in private, to Comey. That's what they want to spill the beans. If they're going to spill, they're willing to spill the beans,
Yeah. Well, there was I was seeing a bunch of articles, and I don't know how true they are, but there were multiple sources saying that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton went to Congress and said, leave the cameras on. And then it was allegedly a Republican congressman who killed the cameras. Allegedly.
It's Comey.
Comey. Okay, that's who it was.
Comey will not accept them testifying in public. He wants them behind closed doors. They said, nope, we won't do it that way.
Well, Congress, I think I kind of agree with Kinderkim, but also I will push back a little bit. It's not just Republicans who aren't doing anything. It's like Democrats.
It's both parties.
Yeah, because the moment Trump got into office, a bunch of shit's been happening, and I've been seeing a ton of my friends, some who are still in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I grew up, by the way. They were saying, where are the Democrats? Like, why? It's like, we voted for you. Where are the Democrats? Like, they're all gone. Like, so, and I kind of wondered that too.
It's just as guilty. They're just as guilty. They're all guilty. They're all guilty. It's like when they impeached Trump, the only thing they could find to impeach Trump with is something that they were not guilty of. Because they're all guilty. They're all criminals, and criminals do not obey laws. Every single person in Congress and the government is a criminal.
And Congress excludes themselves from so many laws already. And yet they still break laws.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is not even just the Epstein files, but even just in general with immigration, the Democrats have done jack shit. They haven't done anything.
Nothing. No. So, it's going to take pressure from foreign governments for them to do anything, if they do anything at all.
Yeah.
That's right, Kinder Kim. It's so corrupt.
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting thing, Kinder Kim, is America likes to paint other countries as corrupt. It likes to project it. And while that may not be wrong, it takes the eye off of them and puts it on another country, even though they're doing the exact same thing.
Tim is having an electronic stroke.
Well,
we are not the good guys, okay? It's going on back.
Yeah, not necessarily, right? It's all
We
these
are not,
people.
we've never been the good guys. Okay, we've portrayed ourselves as the good guys, but we've never really been the good guys.
Well, yeah, and that's
ever, ever.
That dynamic in of itself is interesting, and I never understood why America did that, because it's like, and when you have, and this goes along with my thoughts on like when people say the right side of history, America's the good guys, be on the right side of history. Well, like what's like which side of history? Because history is what it is, right? American
Exactly.
intervention is what it is. It can be good, like in World War II,
Right.
or it can be bad, right? And how you interpret that is based on your personal moral, like your personal morals, beliefs, and values, right? That doesn't make it good just because you think it's good. It doesn't make it objectively good or objectively bad.
It's created
Right.
a lot of white privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I mean, there's that aspect, but I mean, even just with like American intervention historically, right? Some of it's good, some of it's bad.
Most of it's bad. It's just they killed the Filipinos when Teddy Roosevelt took over the Pacific Basin. They went and they killed the Filipinos.
Killed the economy, you mean?
And they took over Puerto Rico and they took over Philly. No, they killed actual people there. They wiped we wiped out the Native Americans. We wiped out, everywhere we go, we kill people to take over their country. South and Central America, we moved in for American Fruit Company and all these companies go in and take over the government because some American industrialist is making money off of them. We're from the very beginning of the country, we've been the bad guys.
Well, yeah. So the Mormon atheist talking about Constantine adopting Christianity creates some problems, right? With the priests, right? Whenever you have power, you're going to be corrupt somehow, somewhere. And if you have power over other parts of the world, you get lifted up and you are basically using, what do you call that? When you use some other people for your benefit. There's a better word for it.
Where you use people for power?
Yeah, in other words, like if you're slaves or the Indonesian linen, making clothes or any other thing, like sweatshops or anything where you're benefiting from some other country's wealth, basically by underpaying it. I mean, even it's hard to believe that Britain, right, wanted cocaine or what they want. They sent gunboats.
Heroin.
Heroin, right? Poppy seeds.
Opium. The opium wars. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is so mind-boggling to us right now, because 200 years ago, if there was any product that you could sell, you could just sell it, right? And now there's governmental limitations, and so yeah, extortion. Whenever you put down some people so that you get bettered, that's been going on for a long time. Yeah, like slavery.
Yeah, that's universal. That's still a thing here in Asia and Africa, and that's a very human thing too.
Yeah, like even in Thailand, it's the what's the country that Myanmar?
Myanmar.
Burma, that's now Myanmar. Yeah.
So it used to be called Burma. So those people are like the slave labor in Thailand, because in Myanmar, the economy is so bad, they go to Thailand because Thailand's growing, construction jobs, and they work for cheap. And just like, I mean, even the Golden Gate Bridge was built, I think 8 people died 100 years ago, whenever it was. And when certain people are expendable
Yes.
and other people
We're
are
all
there to take advantage.
expendable, Gene. We're all expendable to them. Yeah. They
That's right.
don't care about us. Don't believe they care about you. They don't care about any of us. They only care about their power
That's right.
and onto it.
So
Doesn't
anyway,
matter what party.
my voice is shot, but I don't feel that bad. I've
Okay.
done some dental work and I'm on a lot of drugs. But
Courtesy
see
of the
what happens.
British Empire, no doubt.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Well,
where it comes from.
Afghanistan. Your opium comes from Afghanistan for your Tylenol 3.
What is codeine? Is codeine opium?
Codene's opium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our cell phones, guys, come from Nigeria.
There
Oh,
you
no,
go.
I'm sorry. It's the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Congo. That's right. That's right.
Lithium mines. Yeah.
Lithium
So
mines.
if you
That's right.
have any batteries at all, thank children in Congo.
That's right. That's right.
In honor of Kinder Kim, I'm going to have a chocolate after the show. Well, thanks
All right.
everybody for watching. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Diamond Dave, for coming on. Thanks, Tim, for coming on.
I'll see you today.
We'll see if there's more discussion around. I just think the Epstein files are going to last for like 6 months. Trump was saying a week ago, why are people still talking about this? It's going to go on and on and on.
People have been talking about this for years. It's been a meme for years. It's not going away.
He's the one that said that he was going to reveal them.
It's a big promise.
It's a big. It's the only campaign promise he's kept, and they're still not finished with the 3 million more documents they got to release. But they say they won't release. But they're going to be pushed to do it eventually.
All right. Well, everybody, it's February already.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it was last week too.
Yeah. All right. Have a great rest of 2026. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, bye. Bye, everybody.